This is LaserBolt, and welcome to today's video, guys. Welcome to another episode of Destiny 101. Today, we're going to be talking about the Vault of Glass raid. I'm going to give you guys the most helpful tips in actually completing this, doing it the easiest way possible, and making sure that anybody, whether you're a new player, returning player, or you're a current player, you don't understand exactly how the Vault of Glass works. By the end of the video, you're going to be a master in the Vault of Glass raid. So if all of this sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be greatly appreciated. And let's talk about the Vault of Glass raid guide. So for those of you who might be returning players, you guys know the Vault of Glass holds a dear spot in your heart. But for those of you who are new, you're probably wondering, Laser, what the heck is the Vault of Glass? Well, in Destiny, there are raids that you're able to accomplish as a six-man team, and all these raids have some sort of mechanic that allow you to actually be able to pass through certain zones to be able to progress through the raid. Today, we're going to tackle the first one, which is called the Spire. This is going to be the first thing that you're going to be able to do. And this consists of something very, very simple. Your team is going to spawn into a very big place of the Walking Ruins. This is going to be the first thing you're presented, and the first time you see this map. There are going to be Vex sync plates, which I'm pretty sure if you're familiar and have been playing the game, you know exactly what these are. But these are plates that are found on the map. There's going to be one to the left, one to the right, and one in the middle. My suggestion is divide yourselves into team of two. Two people go left, two people go right, two people go to the middle, and activate the plates. To activate the plates, it's super easy. All you got to do is stand on the plates, and as soon as you start standing on these plates, you're going to start racing the Spire. You're going to notice that the white little orb starts racing from the middle of the plate, and it's get to the point where it's actually activated. Once the plate is activated, you are being able to, you could step away from the plate. You do not have to stand on the plate, but there is a caveat, because this plate could turn red. Now, the only way this plate could turn red is if a Vex steps inside the plate. Now, it doesn't mean that any Vex, there's only one person that can activate this, deactivate the Spire, and that is the Minotaur. So if you get the other little Vex kind of coming in there, don't worry about it. The only one you have to worry about not stepping into your plate is the Minotaur. If a Minotaur steps into the plate, it will deactivate the plate, and you guys won't be synced. Remember, all three plates have to be active in order for you guys to be able to activate and open the door. If a Minotaur does step into the plate, it's very simple. Kill that Minotaur and raise that plate Spire once again to make sure all the plates are in sync. Now, this time around, from previous times from Vault of Glass, there are 3 Cyclops which continue to respawn and could be a major pain. This is why I would suggest at the end of the video, I'll have suggestions on loadouts we have, which should make your life a lot of very easier to get rid of these Cyclops that spawn, to make sure that you're not constantly getting hit or bombarded with, with fire there. Regardless, though, even if you don't want to take them out, there's still cover around each of the plates that you could utilize. And remember, you don't need to stand on the plate for the plate to be active. Once the Spire is fully formed, it will send out a beam of light into the large Vex door and open the door. And this is all going to be taking place behind the middle plate. All you got to do is continue through the cave and go down a path. You could either go to the secret path to get an extra chest, or just go over through the main path. And now you'll make yourself to the second stage. And let's go ahead and talk about the next challenge called the Conflicts. So the Conflicts work very similar to the one encounter that you just did and that you're here now, in the sense that you have to divide yourselves into a team of 2. My suggestion is pick 2 people to go left, 2 people to go right, and 2 people to stay down in the middle. Now, I'm going to put this picture of the map so you guys can get a better idea of the layout. Basically, this is a 3-lane map. You have lane 1, which is your middle, lane 2, which is your left, and lane 3, which is your right. This is just pretty much the areas you're going to be defending. Person's going to be defending the middle, 2 people's going to be defending the left, 2 people is going to be defending the right. But what exactly is going to be happening? Well, there is going to be a conflict that appears at the start of the game. Now, only one appears at that time, which is the one in the middle. I'm putting up this picture so you guys can know exactly where that spawns. It's going to spawn towards the back of the map. Basically, your job around this round 1 is pretty much defend enemies from going and entering that conflict. Now, if an enemy enters that conflict and sacrifices themselves, it's going to give you a total of 4 chances to stop from sacrificing. If 4 sacrifice, then it's pretty much a wipe for your team. So think of this as round 1. Round 1, you got to make sure you avoid them from coming into that middle conflicts. Now, I do want to let you guys know that there is stuff that you need to watch out for that could mess up, and you'd be like, what the heck is going on? So, what this happens is, during the defending of the conflicts period, you're going to notice that there's going to be a message on the screen that says the Templar summons its legions. That's going to show up on the bottom corner of your screen. That means that a large wave of fanatics, these are similar looking enemies like the ones you've been fighting, but these are fanatics. Now, fanatics, the biggest problem that they have is when you kill them, they actually create a little pool around their dead body that if you step on it, you are going to get marked. Now, if you do get marked, that is when you need to pay close attention to see if you got mapped. Because if you did get marked, your job is to go to the middle, which is I'm showing you right here on the map, and cleanse yourself from that marked state. Now, one thing you need to know is that if multiple people get marked, you need to go in at the same time, because as soon as one person steps into it, that pretty much cleanses that person and no other person can activate it. So make sure your communication is key here. So now that you understand what to look out for, what you're doing, let's talk about the rounds. So round one, you're going to make sure you keep the first conflict from actually being captured and keep it away. The second one is, I'm going to put this map as well. After a period of time, the leeches will disappear and 2 new conflicts will spawn, one on the left and one on the right. So no longer do you have to worry about the middle as far as defending the conflicts, but enemies will still be spawning from that middle section. So you still want to make sure someone's keeping an eye in the middle to avoid the left and right being overrun. So you're going to want to split yourselves into two teams of 3 this time instead of 2-2. 3 to the left, 3 to the right, one person watching the middle from each side, and the other people keeping the enemies from coming in. Once again, same concept, avoid them from sacrificing. Now for round number 3. Now for round number 3, guys, things change up a little bit, because not only are you defending 1 conflict, you're defending 2, you're defending all 3 of them. So basically, very simple, split yourselves into teams of 2, each one watching their own conflicts, avoid being any sacrifice, avoid stepping in the pool, and bing bada bing, that easy, you guys have completed the conflicts round. And now on to challenge number 3, the oracles. All right, so the oracles is kind of the one that's the most difficult to explain and the most easier to understand once you actually get the hang of it. So the oracles, the best way I can describe it is a set of 5 rounds that happen in the map. Each round, a set of oracles will appear, and you are going to need to remember the order in which they appear. There are a total of 7 complete oracles that appear, but it starts in different waves. The first wave will only have 3 oracles that appear. You're going to be in charge of keeping track when those oracles appear, so you know what 1 is, what 2 is, and what 3 is. Once you know what 1, 2, and 3 is, it's going to have you and give you the opportunity to kill all of them in the order they appeared. Now, it is important that team communication is key around this time and that you know where each oracle appears. So let me put this picture up on the map, and these are all the locations where the oracles appear. Now, the first wave will only have 3 oracles. So you want to make sure you and your fire team divide yourselves into areas where you have a visual lane where you could see the oracle appearing. And you're going to actually hear it in the game. It's going to go beep, beep, beep. And that way you know which one appeared first, which one appeared second, which one appeared third. Once it gives you the complete order, it's going to give you 2 times that it's going to repeat the order. It's going to show up once. It's going to show up twice. That third time that it shows up, it's your time to actually go ahead and shoot the oracles in the order that they appeared. Now that you kill the first wave is for round number 2. And this time around, instead of 3 appearing, a total of 4 will appear. So for round 2, you got to make sure you keep eyeing out for 4 that appear. Now remember, once again, you got to keep track of where these are appearing and in what order. Then round number 3, instead of 4 appearing, 5 are going to appear. And this time, once again, you got to shoot them in the order that they appeared. Now, one thing I want to make sure you note, some of them might appear in the same section they appeared before. So make sure you're constantly counting out where 1 is, where 2 is, and giving each other and your fire team the order necessary to actually complete it. Now on to round number 4. And this time, instead of just 5 oracles appearing, 6 are going to appear. And once again, you're going to have to shoot them in the order they spawned. And for last and not least, round 5, we'll have a total of 7 oracles appearing. Once again, shoot them in the order they appeared. Now, I do want to mention a couple things you need to worry about as well as doing this. Remember, there's still going to be enemies that are going to be spawning, so you're probably going to want to assign one of your teammates to actually take care of the enemies as they're spawning. And also, if you're on the outskirts of the lane or on the map, there are going to be snipers that are going to be spawning as well. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. Another thing I want to mention is that if you messed up the order in which you shot the oracles, this is going to actually mark you, and it's going to mark the whole fire team. So you're going to want to go to the cleansing spot to make sure you are cleansed. Remember, guys, don't go in once you get there. Make sure everybody goes in at once to make sure you and all your fire team is cleansed, and then it's going to repeat the order once again. Super easy. Shoot the oracles in the order they appear for 5 rounds, and you guys should be good to move on to the next stage, which is the Templar. All right, so you made it this far to the Templar, guys. You are one step closer to getting that Vex Mystic class, but the Templar is actually pretty tricky, and once you get the hang of it, it becomes easy like a cakewalk. So there are two things that you want to make sure you keep in mind here. There's going to be a relic that's going to appear in the middle of the pit. You're going to want to assign one teammate to be in charge of the relic. Now, there are two ways to actually do this. You could either have the relic holder destroy the oracles that we will talk a little bit further right now as we explain this, or you could have different people watching the different oracles that appear and shooting them instead of the relic runner having them. To make things simple, I would probably go with stage number 2. Once you become familiar holding the relic, then you would probably want to do this, step number 1. So basically, guys, the relic will appear. When it appears, do not pick up the relic yet, because that's actually going to trigger and start the encounter. Once you understand the encounter, I'm going to put this picture right here on the screen so you can see where the relic spawns and show you guys exactly what that has, because the relic has some really cool abilities. The first ability that the relic has, it gives you the ability to actually trigger and shoot a beam of light to the enemy or to whatever you're shooting. Number 2, it also has a portable shield that blocks incoming damage, which is extremely important and powerful. Your main goal on this stage is having someone pick up the relic. Once the relic is picked up, 3 oracles will spawn. You got to make sure you destroy these oracles. Once these oracles are destroyed, then you have to have the person that's holding the relic shoot the beam to the Templar, which will then bring down the shields of the Templar, and then your team is able to do DPS on the Templar. Now, if you watch my part of the end of the video where I talk about loadouts, you should theoretically be able to one-face the stage without having to do any multiple turns at this. Basically, let me explain what happens if multiple turns are needed in order to complete this. So, if you shoot the beam, it brings down the shield of the Templar. Once the shield of the Templar is brought down, you do DPS. If you're not able to one-face him or kill him with one run, then you are going to need to do 2 runs. The way you prevent the Templar from teleporting, there's going to be little circles that appear on the map are going to be lighted with red. That means that the Templar is going from the middle section, teleporting to another section of the map. You could theoretically block this teleportation by standing inside the little circle, kind of like the sphere that we did in the beginning of the game, and this will block the Templar from actually teleporting. If you block the teleporting, it's going to extend the DPS phase of that round. If you don't block that, the Templar will actually teleport to that section, and then you're going to have to deal with another set of 3 oracles that appear on the map to kill those 3 oracles, and then shoot the beam to the Templar to bring down his shield, and your team will have to DPS him once again, but this time the Templar will be in another location. That's why it's extremely important to try to one-phase this so you don't have to do multiple DPS rounds. Overall, in general, guys, this is actually one of the easiest ones to get done, because once you understand the concept and you made it here, you already know what oracles are. You kind of have an idea of how the relic works, and it's just a matter of applying enough DPS, avoiding the Templar from teleporting, and you're good to go. Now that you did this part, which is one of the hardest parts, you guys now are getting a little bit of a break, and now we're going to go into the Labyrinth and deal with the pesky Gorgons. So for this part, guys, it's super easy. The door will open, jump on down, make sure you watch your fall, and you are going to land in the Labyrinth. Now, this one in particular, I'm going to put up a picture of the map because it's very difficult to actually show you just me running it. Basically, guys, there are going to be Gorgons, or kind of like guardians, that are going to be watching the pathway. What you need to do is avoid being seen or spotted, because these Gorgons will wipe your entire team. Just hug the wall to the right-hand side and make your way all the way around till you go to a little cave and head to the jumping puzzle. Super easy, super self-explanatory. Just avoid from being seen, and you guys should be good to go. Helpful tip: if you have a hunter, have them throw in one of those grenades that makes you invisible, makes your whole fire team invisible, and you're able to progress through the labyrinth without being detected. Alright, so you put on your Nikes, you finish the jumping puzzle, and now you're ready to face the Gatekeeper. Now, the Gatekeeper is actually pretty interesting, guys, because the mechanics are a little bit different if you guys are coming back and returning players. This particular area, my suggestion is, guys, make sure you guys split yourselves in teams of 3. So 3 people go to the left, 3 people go to the right. Once you have that figured out, the people on the left are the Mars group, the people on the right are the Venus group. So it's extremely important because these areas need to be well defined so you know exactly where they're at, because there's going to be a ton of call-outs coming out saying he's in Mars, he's in Venus, and you're going to need to know exactly where you go. Now, in order for you guys to activate the sync plates, which will allow you to go in here, you have to kill the Gatekeeper that spawns in the center of the map. So once the Gatekeeper is killed, the sync plates will be active. Once these sync plates get active, you're going to have one member from the left-hand side and one member from the right-hand side stand on the sync plates and activate the sync plates. Now, remember, these people are extremely important because they're going to have to make sure they're holding down these sync plates for this entire encounter and avoid the Overlord Minotaur from taking over that sync plate, because if it does, the portal will close. Now, the people who went in, remember, there's still two people out here on each side. One person from each side is going to have to go in through that portal. Now, once they go in through that portal, there is going to be a conflict that needs to be defended. Now, keep in mind, you cannot allow the Vex to sacrifice into the conflicts, or else it's a rinse and repeat. So the people that are going inside have two jobs. Number one, kill all the enemies. And job number two, guys, is saying where the Pythorian is. Because remember, there is going to be a person outside that's going to be the first relic holder. And he's going to have to be told exactly where this Pythorian is. Because the only way you're able to kill the Pythorian is with the relic. Remember, we used a relic over there with the Templar? This time around, instead of shooting it, we're actually going to be able to smash it on the Pythorian. So, let's do this example. Let's say that the Pythorian spawned on Mars. The person that went inside is going to say, call it, the Pythorian is in Mars. Now, the person that's in Mars is going to be killing enemies, waiting for the relic holder to come into Mars to be able to kill the Pythorian. Now, the people over in Venus, basically all they're doing is trying to kill the enemies that are spawning to avoid them from, taking over the conflicts. Now, once the person that went in with the relic kills the Pythorian, the person that was already inside there is going to have to pick up the relic. So the person holding the relic will drop the relic. That person that's inside will pick up the relic, come outside of the portal, head over to the other section, which is the Venus side. The person that's standing outside of the portal, hasn't gone in, will pick up that relic, go grab the relic, go inside the portal, kill the Pythorian, because after you kill the Pythorian in Mars, the Pythorian's going to go over to Venus, kill the Pythorian. Once again, there's already someone in there, remember. Once the Pythorian is down, he's going to drop the relic. The person that was already in there will pick up the relic, grab the relic, get out of his portal, head over to the Mars section, and don't go into the portal. Drop the relic, and have the person that's standing outside go back in with the relic. It's pretty much playing hot potato, guys. You're just cycling over the relic and killing the Pythorian. Once you stop 6 Pythorians from actually taking over the conflicts or wiping you, you're then ready to move on to the second step. If you have any questions regarding this one, drop them in the comment section below. I try to explain it as thoroughly as I possibly could, so I hope all of this made sense. But if you do have questions, drop them in the comment section down below. Now that you killed the Gatekeeper, he's no longer keeping the gate secured. Now it's time to fight the one, the only Atheon, and get that Vex with the class. Alright, so now that you collected the loot, it's time to fight the final boss, Atheon. Now, Atheon's actually pretty easy. I would say one of the most easiest fights out of here. It's very simple, guys. Basically, when you guys start the encounter, Atheon will spawn in the middle. Do not shoot him. Do not worry about him. You can't do any damage to him. So you're going to have to do some sort of mechanic to actually be able to do some damage to him. The only thing you got to worry, guys, about is the little pesky ads that spawn, which are the Harpies. Now, these in particular will spawn in two forms. Number one, the land Harpies, which will spawn right in front of your feet, and the ones that spawn up in the air, floating in the air. Now, there's going to spawn, one's going to spawn on the Mars side, some are going to spawn on the Venus side. Divide yourselves into a team of 3, once again, and take and kill all the Harpies that are spawning. Now, the ones that spawn in the air, make sure you kill everyone except one on each side. Make sure you leave one alive. That way they don't keep spawning. You just keep one of them alive. Now, the ones that are spawning in the ground, kill those as your heart's content. Now, what's going to happen is once this is all set up, it's going to come a time where Atheon is going to teleport 3 Guardians from the outside into the inside of either Mars or Venus. It's extremely important, once again, that you know where Mars and Venus are, because they're going to make a call and say, we are in Mars. At this time, if you are outside, your job is to move from whatever section you're on. So let's say they said they're in Mars. Your job is, if you're in Venus, head over from the Venus side and head over to Mars and help the person who's holding up the portal kill the rest of the Harpies that are there to make sure that that portal stays active. In addition to that, one specific person that's outside is going to need to make the callouts of the oracles that spawn. Now, remember the oracles that we fought earlier? This time they're going to be spawning in red and in the air, and the person outside is going to need to be able to make the callouts. I'm going to simplify this as easy as I can to make sure you make the proper callouts to your teammates and you are not completely confused. So, the people who are going to see aside are going to see the oracles from the perspective of the entrance of the Vault of Glass. The people who go inside actually spawn on the back side of the Vault of Glass, So they're going to see the oracles different. The best tip I could give you is the people who spawn inside of either Mars or Venus is to make a beeline and head straight to the front section of the map. That way everybody sees the map the same way. Now that we're all seeing the map the same way from the entrance of the Vault of Glass, now it's time to make the call out. So the oracles will spawn some in the front and some in the back. That's the best way I could describe it. There's going to be a front section and a back section. Now, it's super easy that you make the proper callouts. So if an oracle spawns in the middle, you're going to say middle. That means he's in front of the middle. That's the middle is always going to be the front. So you're not going to make a call out saying front. You're just going to say middle. Now, if it spawns to the left, you're just going to say left. If it spawns to the right, you're going to say right. Now, if the oracle spawns on the middle, but it spawns on the back side, that is when you make the call out and say back middle. That way people know that it's the oracle that's in the back. Sometimes they spawn in the same area, so sometimes you might have one in the middle and one in the back middle. So your call out will be middle, back middle, left. Or if two spawn on the left, it's left, back left, middle. That way people know exactly which oracles are shooting. Once you make the callouts, the people who are inside Venus or Mars will shoot the oracles in the order the person on the outside is making the callouts. So it's super easy, super self-explanatory. Once you guys get the flow of this, you guys are going to be running it through smoothly. Just make sure the person who's making the callouts makes the proper callouts. Now, once you've done 2 phases of this, you who are inside either Mars or Venus are going to have to get out of there and head to the portal to come back to the outside. The people outside, it's time to head over for some DPS rounds. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure it's time you lay as much damage as you possibly can to Atheon to bring his health down. But there is a caveat because you want to make sure that you're constantly checking the left-hand side because you could get detained. Detainment is one of the most annoying things in the game because if you do get detained, you are going to put not only you and yourself in jeopardy, but you're going to be putting your team in jeopardy. So make sure you're constantly checking the left-hand side of the screen to see that it doesn't say detainment. If you are detained, either move away from your teammates so they won't get detained. Basically, detainment puts a bubble, like a Titan bubble around you where you're not going to be able to do damage. So if you are detained, move away from your team because if you don't, the rest of your teammates will get detained and they won't be able to do damage as well. So make sure you're keeping that. Other than that, it's just full-on DPS. Shoot as many rockets and infusion rifles, many supers as you possibly can to do as much damage to Atheon. Once you've done enough damage, it's going to send you back to the same thing, and it's a matter of rinse and repeat, shooting the oracles in the order they're being called out, and doing DPS damage to Atheon, and keeping an eye out that you're not detained when you're doing so. And there you guys have it. That is how you complete the Vault of Glass raid. Hopefully, this video helped you, and you got yourselves a very easy clear of the Vault of Glass, and you also got yourselves a Vex Mythoclast. I hope you guys are enjoying our coverage here of Destiny, and we will have more raid guides for you guys. Which raid should we do next? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.